Okay, fantastic. And the session is starting. And C. Hi there, good evening, everybody. My name is Theo Wilscott. I'll be taking the session for assignment 1. And I'll be fielding some questions, but there'll also be an opportunity for you to ask questions from me as well. So I will be going great guns shortly. So let me just add and upload a couple of files here that I have. Okay, the first one is Kim's guideline for this assignment. And then I also just have a Word document that I just use that I could scratch on and things. So what I want to do is, I see there's quite a few students online. That is great. And you can shoot the questions to Kim on the side. Kim will answer those for you, and I will answer for you as well as much as I can. Alrighty. So assignment 1. So this course, as you most probably have realized, and Kim has most probably also spoke to you, Dion has spoken to you, I've spoken to you. You have most probably realized that that this course is not for sissies. Let me put it sort of mildly. It is quite an involved and quite an engaged, and you do and will have to work quite hard on getting through these 2 assignments. They're not difficult assignments, but it does mean that you have to really start early on them, and you have to work on them. Yes, there's plenty of tools, and I will talk about the elephant in the room shortly, which is AI and ChatGPT. But possibly with Kim's permission, I'll also talk through how you can use it as a tool rather than using it as a straightforward copy and pasting and with the potential of being found out. So let me go through the entire assignment as it stands. Sandra is asking, there's 2 questions. Mark allocation item, but the calculation of questions amount to 90, also very similar to assignment 2. Is this rec paper? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So cover page. So this is the interesting thing about this assignment, is that it's a report for a board of directors, but at the same time, it's also an academic submission, and that's the tension. That's the tension that you're going to have to hold onto. If you read through the instructions, just to show you the instructions. Where's the instructions now? If you read through the instructions, you'll see that it's a report that's addressed to the naked board of directors and to assist them in making the changes to their company organizational structure if necessary. So on one side, it is a report that you have to deliver, and the report starts off with a slightly different format. It has a slightly different tone, and you make recommendations. At the end of it, you're a consultant. You're approaching this as a consultant. But at the same time, you're also a third-year student that is writing an academic submission as a business management student that is doing strategic management. And that's the tension. You kind of have to hold both of them together. So how do you develop, what is your tone, and how do you write this assignment in such a way that you almost have and answer both of those parts that's required? And it's not easy. So what I would suggest is, when you pick a voice, when I say a voice, a tone in which you write, stick to that tone. Don't switch between first person and third person. Try not to adopt a very, a third person sort of very positive tone, and you stick to that tone throughout your assessment. Don't go, okay, now it's an essay. Now I'm speaking directly to them. Now I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a consultant. No, try to stay with the same voice throughout your submission. All right. Thank you, Hannah, for helping out Sandra. So that's the background to it. So now let's go through the entire assignment and just read through the instructions together, because some of you might, I'm not, I'm not judging you. Some of you might be looking at this assignment for the first time right now. That says, as a strategic analysis and development, you're approached by Naked, which insurance company, to compile a report of three major aspects of their strategy, namely conceptual fit between Naked's internal and external environment, Naked's strategic intent, and the sustainability of Naked. Read the case study provided, conduct additional research before compiling your report. Your report should contain index references, citations, as well as a reference list according to the IIE reference guideline. Your report should adhere to the AA Intellectual Integrity Report. Your report should be addressed to the Board of Directors. You're required to answer the three questions posed in this document in the format below. And this is a nice thing about this assignment, is that I know, and Kim can vouch for this, about 3-4 years ago, our assignments were they weren't so well structured as these assignments have been for the last 3 years. They were long, and students can just write words upon words upon words. And what has happened is that we've managed to get the examiner to give a very tight and a very structured instruction, and says, this is what I need. It's a cover page, it's an introduction. I need in my body, these are the three questions that need to be answered, and a conclusion. Now, when you're writing a report, it's not quite called a conclusion. It is you write a list of recommendations. And the word count is also very challenging. I do know from my students that I've spoken to that the word count, I've increased the word count, as I said, to a maximum of 3,000. And Kim, please, you can just vouch for that or just confirm 3,000 will include the discretionary 20% that we have as tutors when we mark your assessment. So I say it's 2,500 words up to a maximum of 3,000, which includes that discretionary 20% that we have in order to mark and assess your assignment. Kim, can you confirm if that is also how you've spoken to and confirmed with your students? That is excluding referencing. That is excluding a reference list. Okay. Norman, that 250 and 300 words only refer to the introduction. But what I've said to my students is that you use that for everything. So 3,000 words, a maximum of 3,000 words. And I promise you guys, you can actually do this with less than that. You can actually do this with less than that. So it is entirely possible. But that does mean that you have to work really hard on being brief and being concise and being able to really explain things in a manner that gets the point across in as few words as possible. Okay. So cover page, introduction, and then a body and a conclusion, and then references and any appendices that you see fit. All right. Are there any comments or questions at this point? I know that in the chat section it's going crazy, but that's okay. Kim is managing all of those questions. So as soon as you're ready, there we go. Yeah, Asante, you've got a question. You can definitely switch on your mic and yeah. So sorry, Asante, I just missed you there.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to find out an idea of an introduction, like how do you go about, because like it's easy to do the work in the middle because like there's like layout for it, but the introduction it's very like open field. I don't know where to start.
Okay, that's a very, very good question. Anybody else have any questions on relating to the introduction? Tristan, yeah, go ahead, Tristan. You can ask a question.
Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I just wanted to ask, building on what Kim said, as well as the previous question, with the introduction, I see Kim says no templates as well. It's just a normal standard assignment. So would that mean we would, do our introduction and then heading question 1 answer, heading question 2 answer, heading question 3 answer, and then conclusion at the end where we give our remarks? Or, because I'm not too sure that the assignment does leave it a bit open, and I'm not too sure what format, if any, we should follow.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you very much for that question. That's a good question, and I will definitely go over that before I go into the weeds of the assignment. Dalen, you also have your hand up.
Hi, Theo. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can.
So I just had a question with regards to the conclusion. In my table of content, I changed the conclusion to recommendations. Is that fine, or would you prefer to have it conclusions written down?
Okay, those are all very good questions. And so let me talk through the formatting and the word choice for the different things, so that we can all be on side. So let's start off with the introduction, because I think that was the first question. So the introduction, you can call it your introduction, you can call it your executive summary, you can call it so those are all words. So when you're looking at different reports, it tends to talk to different sorry guys for that. So you can call it different things. You can call it introduction, you can call it executive summary, you can call it different things that so the report says a introduction, so you can call that part of it however you want to call it, as long as it makes sense, as long as it's consistent for you. So when I say consistent, so if you're going to use executive summary and you're going to use a list of recommendations at the end, then it needs to be consistent. You can't say I have introduction and then don't have a conclusion, because the essay has an introduction and a conclusion. So those are what I would suggest to you. So just have the naming convention, have it be consistent, and whatever you choose to use, just have it consistent across the report or essay. All right. So Dalen, does that answer your question before I get into just a bit of a description around around it? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. So let's have a look at the introduction or executive summary or first part of the report. So you'll in that portion of it, you'll introduce your report or you'll introduce the essay. So say this essay this essay will consist of the following sections, or this essay is presented to the board of directors at NACAT and will include a strategic overview, comment on this, and so forth and so forth. So it is a normal introduction. You're introducing what you're going to say below. I suggest to students then leaving it blank, and then the next page, on the top of the next page, you start with question 1. And this is where I suggest to students that I would include you'll have question 1, and below that you can have subsections, and those are always good, because subsections sort of does break down the monotony of the report. It also does sort of give me when you have little subsection headings. It's so beautiful, because what it tells you that you've sat down and you have thought through the entire structure of your submission. You've got a heading and you've got a subheading, and within each one of those, there's a flow to it. So subheadings I would suggest as well. But again, be mindful of the word count. So if you're going to have a heading and a subheading and a minor heading and another heading below that, that also doesn't work. So be mindful of the word count as well. Okay. So you can you can structure it and format it in a way that suits you and is consistent. So what I'm suggesting is you start with the introduction on the page. The next page you start off with question 1. Below that you can have little subheadings for question 1. And then when you finish with question 1, you move on to a new page. You start question 2. You can have little subheadings for question 2, and then you move on. You don't even need to call it question 2. Although I do suggest that you can either call it question 2, or you can just have a little 2 next to it. So you can have a little 3 next to it and then call it sustainability. You can have a little 2 next to it and call it mission statement. You can have a little 1 and call it strategic intent or strategic fit. So you can look at your report and go, okay, I'm not going to write question 1, but I will call it strategic fit and just have a 1 next to it. Because when we read through it, and remember, we're reading quite a few of these things. When we read through it, we know, okay, that 1 signifies that this is question 1. That 2 signifies that this is the start of question 2. That 3 signifies the start of question 3. And having each section start on a new page also tells us that this is a new section that's about to start. Okay, makes sense? Please, Dalen, is that a new hand or is the old hand? Alrighty, guys, thank you very much. Those are very valuable comments. Is there index? Yes, please. Again, what I'm trying to do is just teach you good writing. You guys are doing research at the moment, and you know that you've got a cover page, and your next page is your title, your contents page, which signifies on which sections on which page. So that is just good submission, good writing. And just presentable, overall presentable. Okay. All right. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, guys. So now let's go through. So I've covered off the introduction and what I'm looking for in the introduction already. And now let's start getting into the weeds of it. Question 1. Let's start off with question 1. All right. Start with a brief introduction of what is the inside out and outside in perspectives. And again, this is such an important element of understanding strategy and how companies approach a strategy. Different companies approach strategies in different ways. And this is one of those key sort of concepts to understand, that some companies have an inside-out perspective. And when they have an inside-out perspective, they look at the resources. Those are the things that they have. And they look at their capabilities. Those are the things that they do well. And then they project that outward and they go, which opportunities matches the resources that I have and matches the capabilities that I do well and the things that I do well. And that is inside out. So when they set their strategy, they look at, these are the things we do well. And these are the things that we have. Let's go and find a match in the environment and then exploit that. Whereas the outside in perspective says, outside there, we might not have the resources, we might not have the capabilities, but there's an opportunity there. So let's set our strategy towards that opportunity, and then we go and make it happen afterwards. We go and find the resources. We go and learn the capabilities that we needed to do. Think a minute about Volkswagen. Volkswagen AG, which is the biggest motor manufacturer in the world. They now need to retool all the factories, retrain people that have only known spanners and oil to now know watts and motors and batteries, which means that they need to go and find that resources. They need to go and find those capabilities in order to remain competitive as a motor manufacturer. So companies through it's not a fixed thing. The companies not necessarily have this is the only way they do it, and there's not a fixed way that this is they only do it this way and they only do it this way. Depending on how the environment changes and also the different needs at any given time. So in terms of the breakdown, start off with the inside out and outside in perspective. Distinguish between in the body of view is also determined whether Naked is using an inside out and outside in perspective. And this is the important part. So this assignment, absolutely, Musa. It's hydrogen, it is electric, it is there's all kinds of new technologies that's entering in the market. So this is the part. This is the gold in the assignment. Is your ability to take the concept, your ability to take the framework. So how does this apply to my case study? How does this apply to the information that I have in the case study? But in addition, how does it apply to any information that I might have been able to gather outside of the case study that I have in front of me? And you answer it straight out. And again, there's no right or wrong answer here. You know, it's all about how do you support your answer. So if you choose, now I can tell you this much, there's evidence for one rather than the other. But again, it's about you look at it, and I can tell you if you understand these two concepts, outside in and inside out perspective, if you understand the strategic link, you'll be able to look at the case study and go, okay, based on the information that I have here in front of me, I can make a fairly strong case that it is one of these. And then you support it with the evidence that is there. And the way you support it is based on the case study that's included, one can assume this. Based on research, you quote the research, one can assume this and this and this. And the clue, I can tell you the clue lies in not just looking at Naked, but looking at the industry in which Naked operates. So therein lies your clue. Looking at the industry in which they operate and the other industry players and see from that perspective, excuse the pun, from that perspective, what is the industry norm? And in there lies a bit of a hint and a bit of a clue. Question 2. So at the end of it, please make sure that you provide recommendations. And this is where the important part comes, because all of these recommendations are all going to go down towards your conclusion or your list of recommendations or your list of actions at the end of it. Yes, Daylan, you've got a question?
Hi, Theo. Just on that last point, when they ask us about strategic link, is that purely an application answer, or do we have to also do a bit of theory in that last question? That's my question. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's a very good question. So let's have a look at the question. So it says the body, or at least the notes that Kim has provided for us. The body of the report will be determined whether Naked is using inside out. So you will say it is based on the information that's provided. I would say that it's this. So you make a decision. You say that it's this, and then you say why you say it, and that is where you have to provide the supporting evidence. Does that make sense? All right. Yes, Dana,
Sorry,
does
dear.
that make sense?
No, sorry, was that now what you were talking about for the body of the report? Or was that last point there where it says conclude by providing recommendations?
Yes, I'm still on question 1, yeah. So each question consists of a basic framework. It says, this is the bit of theory that we're talking about. This is the application to naked, and this is the recommendations. Each one of the questions have the same format to it.
Yes.
And once you have all of at the end, and this is good writing. Once you have all of these recommendations should almost speak to one another. As you go from one section, you move on to the next section. You need to almost have a golden thread that runs through all of it. And when you get to the end, that is when you put it all together, based on what you've said about the strategic link, based on what you've said about the mission statement, and based on what you've said about shared value and inclusive business.
Yeah, because for basically that first question, I only did application on that last point where it says conclude by providing recommendations. I didn't talk about what strategic link is. So I was just wondering if there should be a balance or if it's purely application.
The question requires you to tell me what the theory is, make a decision as to which one naked is expressing, which perspective based on the information that you have, supply supporting evidence for your view, and then based on that viewpoint, you then would say, I would, based on the information provided or based on my view that it's an inside-out perspective, I would say that naked needs to continue doing this, or based on my perspective, based on my view that it's an outside-in perspective, I recommend that based on the industry norm or based on what I can find in my research, they need to switch to a outside-in perspective or inside-out perspective rather than an outside-in perspective. So your recommendations might be, your recommendation might be in support of your view, or your recommendation might be, saying to them, you need to change it. Based on what I think it is, you need to change it. Or it can be, based on what I think it is, carry on. And here's maybe ways in which you can improve doing it. All right. Excellent. Very good questions, guys. And please, if there's anybody else that want to jump in, please do jump in so that we can also hear some other voices as well. And it's good to tussle with these things. It's good to sort of, I know sometimes you kind of just want to just get into doing things and just getting it done. But this is where the learning happens when you do these assignments, is when you tussle with these concepts. And this is the learning that you'll take with you after the exam, after you've graduated into your day-to-day work life. So question 2, provide a brief introduction around the purpose of a mission statement. So that's the first part of question 2. Explain what a mission statement is and what it's used for. So Kim, I've given you a very sort of breakdown as to what to include in your answer. Analyze naked's mission statement, applying the questions that should be answered for a typical mission statement. Recommend valid changes that naked can make to the mission statement to make it more comprehensive. Do you think naked's mission statement is impactful or not? How can they improve it? Now, this is such an interesting scenario because naked as a business, naked as a brand, let me approach it from that perspective. Naked as a brand projects this whole idea of no frills, no fuss, easygoing. It's easy to lay a claim, it's easy to set a claim, it's easy to do this, it's easy to do that. And when you look at the mission statement, it's like just a couple of words. Compare that to a mission statement of another company, which is like 10 sentences sometimes, or 5 sentences. You kind of have to ask yourself, is that on purpose that they've made their mission statement so simple and so straightforward so that everybody can remember it and everybody can can read it, so there's no confusion around it, because their brand ethos is about no confusion, easy to claim, easy, just no frills, no fuss. That's the whole idea. It's naked insurance. It is supposed to be, there's no frills with it. So was that mission statement intentionally done like that, or is it just a bad mission statement? You know? But now, Norman, the question is, was it intentional, or has it just worked out that way? So that's the first question, or the first point I want to make. And then the second point I want to make is that based on the information that we have, based on the mission statement that Hamel and Prelate talks about in your textbook, based on what a good mission statement is, those 6 questions, based on that, then this mission statement is not a very good mission statement. So the question is, who is the mission statement for? What's the purpose of it? You know? Yes, Nishal, you answer those questions as it relates to Naked's mission statement. So the bigger point that I'm wanting to make is, who is the mission statement for? If we analyze Naked's mission statement, spoiler alert, it's not very good. If you look at those questions, they hardly answer some of those questions. So the biggest statement is it a good mission statement? Taking in consideration their brand ethos, which is no frills, no fuss, no red tape, easy, simple, or is it just a bad mission statement and they need to fix it? I want to see you tussle with that question. Here's the breakdown of the answer. But I want to see you tussle with that question and take a view. Make a bold statement and say, this is a horrible mission statement. Yeah, I've rewritten it and it is a page long. I'm joking. Don't make a mission statement that's a page long. 6 sentences or 8 sentences, you know. Or you can turn around and say, it might not apply, the 6 questions might not apply to make it a good mission statement, but actually aligned with the culture and the philosophy of the brand. You know? So that's what I want you to tussle with. So you start off with, what's the purpose of a mission statement? What's it used for? Analyze it using those 6 questions, and then recommend the changes. So what I would do under each question, as you answer the questions, I would also add in the little recommendations. So you can say, in terms of stakeholders, Naked doesn't, stakeholders include as per reference, Naked's mission statement does not make mention of any stakeholders. I would include customers and stakeholders, etc., etc. And then what you do then at the end of that, once you've answered those questions, you then add in your question, your mission statement based on all of the little bits of recommendations that you've done underneath each one of those 6 questions. You then pull it together into a mission statement and say, based on the recommendations above, one can reword Naked's mission statement in the following way. Okay. Taylor, absolutely you can use. It is recommended, it is strongly recommended that you use more than just a case study. Rudy, that's the interesting part. Rudy, that's a very interesting statement. Does the newer generation, Gen Z, and some of the others that have entered into the workforce, do they care about mission statements? You know, that's the work that you need to do. That's the research that you have to do. You know, is that Hamel Prelay article that they wrote, I think about 15 years ago, if not longer, that they wrote that article on mission statements, is it still valid? Guys, you're in 3rd year. You have to tussle and fight with the theory. Don't just take the theory out of the book and say, yeah, I want you to look at it and go, I don't think it's valid any longer. Maybe the newest research is showing something else. Absolutely. Absolutely. Then why do we have 6 long questions? Or with work, can you have a short mission statement and still include all of those elements? Quentin, at third year level, I would strongly suggest that you use peer-reviewed articles. I wouldn't use sort of blog posts and websites. Peer-reviewed articles does lend a lot more credibility to your writing. All right. Yes, Nassau, every question requires you to use references. But when you write out the mission statement, that will be in your own words. Okay. Thanks, Musa. Now we come to my favorite question, which is about shared value and inclusive business. Are there any questions or comments on question 1 and 2 so far? Let me just do a quick review. Peer review. Thanks, Dalen. Okay, Nessel, tell me specifically what you're confused about. Question 1 or question 2? Nishal, here's a breakdown, and I will make sure that I will send this out as well for you. You can also download this breakdown from here. So there's a breakdown of it, and it says, let me just maybe wipe it out. Where do you brush it? Eraser. There we go. There we go. So here, Kim has given you a very nice breakdown, Nissal. You just follow this breakdown and you'll be okay. All right. Provide a brief introduction, explain what the purpose, analyze it, recommend, write your own mission statement. Okay. Awesome. Now let's move on to my favorite question, which is question. Sorry guys, I've got dogs walking past the house, and my dogs just go ballistic. So provide a brief around shared value and inclusive business. So you'll be able to find that detail in your textbook about shared value. And please, when you talk about shared value, you must have the Porter and Kramer. You must read the Porter and Kramer article. The original Porter and Kramer article is it's a well-written article. It is Porter and Kramer shared value. Porter and Kramer. You can find it via Google Scholar. You can also go on to EBSCOhost. Please make sure that you read that article. It's a very good one. And it does set out a shared value in a very sort of structured way. So the question is, explain each one of these concepts, shared value, inclusive business, elaborate on these concepts, evaluate the extent to which Naked is implementing the concepts of shared value and inclusive business. Please provide examples to support your answer, propose ways in which Naked may improve their approach to shared value and inclusive business. So this is one of those very interesting concepts and ideas. Once you read the article and you've worked through chapter 2, you'll have a very firm grasp and understanding of what is shared value and what is inclusive business. But let me break it down, or bring it into Naked's, the case study of Naked Insurance. It is very interesting, the context of it, and I'll tell you why. We talk about shared value and inclusive business. Let's just stay with shared value. If we talk about shared value, here's a company that's saying to its consumers and saying to its customers that we want to make sure that you pay the lowest insurance. We want to reduce the friction between you and me as a customer, between you as the customer and me as the supplier of a service. We want to reduce that friction so it's easy for you to claim, so it's easy for you to make queries, it's easy for you to send through changes. You can even stop your insurance for a few months and then start it again. You only pay for what you use. And some would say that is a form of shared value, because what you're doing is that you are helping to reduce the burden of insurance to your consumer, because insurance is a burden. It is a grudge purchase. It's not something that we willingly want to buy. That's why we shop around for the lowest price. So maybe that is a form of shared value. Maybe that is a way in which they help society. They reduce the impact on the environment. You can even go so far as to say the reason, just by telling customers to drive less, they are and enjoy life more, they are saving the environment. I mean, how's that for thought? Insurance companies tell people drive less, and in that way you're saving the environment, you know? So when we're talking about shared value, we talk about the elements around reducing your impact on the environment and your social responsibility. Maybe part of their social responsibility is the fact that the way they communicate to the customer is in such a way that the customer understands fully what they're offering. So maybe that is their social responsibility. So maybe in the way that they do things is therein lies their shared value, therein lies the inclusive business. So maybe that is the approach. But what I really want to see you doing is to sort of tussle with it, because I've challenged my students and I said to them, if you're doing good, if you're a business that's doing good, meaning you are caring for the environment, you are producing products that can be recycled, you are reducing impact on the biosphere, you have a strong social responsibility, and in the way that you deliver your services and so forth. Is that, and you're still making lots of money, is that a real reflection of shared value, or is it just business sense? Because that's the point that Porter and Kramer makes. They say it makes business sense for you to be a good business. So let me unpack that. You can, in the long term, make more money by being a good business, meaning making products that is environmentally friendly, reducing your impact on the environment, reducing your carbon footprint, being socially inclusive, etc., etc. If you do those things in a long run, you'll make more money vis-a-vis the short-term expense of becoming a shared value and inclusive business. So that's their point. On the other hand, you have the economists saying, or the traditionalists saying, that business is not there to fix the environment. Business is not there to fix social ills. Business there is to make money and produce value for its shareholders, the people that have money invested in that business. That is the only reason for being, is to unlock value and deliver value to its shareholders. So you have this tension between shareholders on the one side needing profitability, wanting the business to make money at all times, and on the other side you have the ethical and the moral imperative for businesses to be good businesses. And to me, that lies at the heart of answering this question. If you tussle just with that one idea, just that one, just hold on to that one thing, is what Naked is doing, is it a reflection of shared value and inclusive business, or is it not? And if it isn't, then what do they need to do? But the deeper question is, should they be doing it in the first place? developing shared value and having an inclusive business, is that really necessary to operate? Grace. Sorry, I lost you guys here for a minute. All right, guys, just let me know how the sound is. My microphone just switched off. Nisal?
I can still hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. There's a question. There's a question about the breakdown. You talk about this breakdown that I have here in front of me. I will be sending this out as well as Kim and Dion will be sending it out to you guys, and Peter will be sending it out to everybody. This is the framework that Kim has put together for us, and we all had a look, at it as well. All right, and then you end off with either your conclusion or your list of recommendations, and that is where you have to pull it all together. So essentially, that is where you have to say to the board of directors and say, dear board of directors, this is based on our evaluation of your strategic fit of your business. We recommend that you do this and this and this. Based on your mission statement and analyzing your mission statement, we refer you to improve the mission statement in this way. Based on our analysis of your shared value and inclusive business practices, we recommend that you improve this and change this, include this, etc., etc. All right. Asante, you've got a question?
Can you say that for the recommendations, you recommend them to keep doing what they're doing? Because honestly, I can't find a fault. Can I just tell them thumbs up, keep going?
Yes, you can. But then you'll have to justify why you say that.
Okay, so as long as I give enough reasoning.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Guys, is there anything else that you guys have questions about? Please, before I sign off. Awesome. Thank you very much. I see Isabella has also posted this guideline on our group. I also will email it out to you guys. Fantastic. Guys, is there anything else? Great stuff. I think it was a good session. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much for the comments. Thank you very much for the very good questions that you guys asked. And it is great to have this level of interaction with students, especially on an assignment that is so interesting. So all of the best with getting this assignment done. So let me just pause at the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is AI and ChatGPT. And what I want to say to you guys, that it is a great tool to use. It's a tool to use. Do not let it write the assignment for you. Use it as a tool. You can use it to recommend readings for you. You can use it to recommend a structured answer for you. You can put your answer into it and you ask it, can you rewrite it, or recommend in which ways in which I can rewrite this to make a bit more sense, and so forth. So use it as a tool to help you rather than as a crutch that you're going to lean on in order to do the assignment for you. Because I promise you, if you are going to find out, then the consequences are, and you have to do that, make that risk analysis. The consequences of being found out and being kicked out of the program, or using it as a tool in such a way that it can assist you and aid you, rather than be being this thing that you do in the background, thinking that nobody's going to catch you. All right, awesome, guys. Have a great evening, and yeah, thanks for all the feedback. Alrighty, cheers, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Cheers.